Now, in a 10-minute video, I can't make you an expert in mindset interviewing, but I can make you pretty dangerous. And I can absolutely promise to make the next interview you conduct more effective than the last. Now, chances are, you're watching this video in advance of a training class one of my colleagues will be conducting in your company. Or you could just be curious, trying to think a little outside the box on your own. Now, whatever the case, I hope to get you thinking differently about one of the most important skills an executive can possess. That's interviewing skills. The mindset interviewing technique is meant to fix the problem most every company faces, and that's hiring and being forced to either live with or deal with what we call qualified misfits. Now, what's a qualified misfit? A qualified misfit is someone that you hired or promoted that had all the right knowledge, all the right skills, and all the right personal attributes. They met all your qualifications, only for you to realize after the fact that they didn't fit in after all. They were a misfit. They were a qualified misfit. Kevin Kelly is the CEO of Heidrick & Struggles, one of the top international search firms. Now, I've never met Kevin, but I really like his candor. In a Financial Times article published a few years back, Kevin shared the results of an internal study into 20,000 Heidrick searches. He was quoted as saying this: "We found that 40% of executives hired at the senior level are pushed out, fail, or quit within 18 months. It's expensive in terms of lost revenue. It's expensive in terms of the individual's hiring. It's damaging to morale." Now, we agree with Kevin. This is still a problem. And I can tell you, Heidrick doesn't present unqualified people. It sounds like to me that 40% of their placements are qualified misfits. We talk to senior executives all the time, and they insist that failed executive hires are still a huge problem, costing their companies time, money, and lost opportunity. Now, mindset interviews are going to require you to think differently. If you're an experienced interviewer, I'm going to ask you to rethink the interviewing techniques you've grown comfortable with over time. Let's start by opening your mind a little. So if you buy stocks or mutual funds, you're probably familiar with this statement. It goes something like this: past performance is not a reliable predictor of future results. Now, this is a disclaimer that accompanies most solicitations for investments, and it makes total sense, doesn't it? I mean, just because a stock was up 20% last year doesn't mean it's going to be up 20% every year. Unfortunately, most employers don't apply the same sound investment advice when acquiring senior executives. In fact, they apply it in reverse. They essentially buy the stock, or the executive, at a premium, assuming the 20% returns are going to just keep on coming. Now, if that's the way you've been operating, we've got to change that. Whether you hire someone from outside your company or promote someone from within, you're making an investment in human capital. You're paying now for someone to do something for you in the future. At best, it's an investment. At worst, man, it's a gamble, a roll of the dice. If you've ever had the pleasure of sitting through a formal interview training, you've probably been exposed to the behavioral interviewing technique. Now, the underlying premise of the behavioral interviewing technique is this. It suggests that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior under similar circumstances. Now, let me share one of our strong beliefs. We believe that there are many, many more candidates practiced at answering questions inside of a behavioral interview than there are interviewers practiced at asking the behavioral questions. Now, here's a dirty little secret. Each question in a behavioral interview contains a hint of what attribute you're actually looking for. Do a Google search and you'll find tens of millions of documents on the web on how to best answer questions in a behavioral interview. I'm not making this up. Listen, behavioral interviewing has its place and is better than having no structure at all. But folks, there is a better way. Behavioral interviewing is about to turn 40. That's right. The most common, admired, and embraced form of interviewing was introduced nearly 40 years ago. Now I'm about to turn 50. Let's keep that between us though, okay? I've been in business going on 30 years. I've seen the booms and the busts. I've seen the internet change all of our lives. I've seen what used to take place on a mainframe move to an app on a smartphone. And through all this, the best we can do is, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior under similar circumstances? I don't think so.